Hits and Crits. This video is brought to you by Trading Goblin.
What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of our Season 3 review. Today with Neutrals, and again with Randall from Imperial Minis. Welcome, Randall.
Thanks, Chris. Good to be here.
Yeah, so let's jump right in. We want to have this concise and crisp and fast. So let's kick off with commanders, right? There's only one commander change with Vargo. Randall, do you want to lead us through his changes?
Yeah, sure. So his commander attachment changed slightly, and this was just a kind of game-wide change to the threaten order. So the same thing happened with Tywin, Justin Massey, I think. So threaten used to be the trigger was when a unit activates, and now it is when it's just start a friendly turn. So now it is, but also now it is in line of sight. So on start of a friendly turn, a unit in long range and in line of sight, you give them a weakened token. So it has a lot more utility now. You don't have to time it based on when that unit activates. You can pop it at the start of your first friendly turn if you want to. So good change. It's not unique to Vargo. It's on other units as well, but a good change. Vargo is already a good commander, and this makes them even better. So good change.
Yeah, definitely. And the exploit weakness change also, like as I said, is when you pick Vargo and you want to play Vargo, like at least for me, one big thing you want to do is like kill attachments, right? That's always in the back of your head, to go in, kill that attachment, make your enemy really moan about it or whatever.
Yeah, that's the only reliable way to kill an attachment these days.
Exactly. These days it is, yeah. So not spending this weekend token really makes him, just more reliable, more playable, more fun as your commander. So I really like that change. So as you said, it's a good commander anyways. So but now he will see more play, I guess, over maybe Roos, right? Roos is some like the first choice a lot of times when you play neutrals, but Vargo now, in my books, is way better now.
Yeah, the change to exploit weakness kind of clears up a little anti-synergy he has. So he wants to use weakened tokens for killing attachments, but exploit weakness consumes one of his weakened tokens, so you have to choose what you want to do. And then exploit weakness now, I believe, also adds a vulnerable token to your to an enemy unit. So it's just more token play with Vargo, which is great. I mean, tokens are extremely powerful. So now, you can just use it to hand a vulnerable token out if nothing else. So good stuff.
Yeah. Which also synergizes with the new, which we cover later, with the new or with the changes on the tactics cards, right? Talking about the adaptive methods. We will talk about that later, but that also synergizes great with those changes in there. So that's already it on commanders. So let's talk about attachments. Attachments is really just the Golden Company officer, and just that he gives his Golden Company affiliation to any unit. And I'm pretty sure this is a really small change. Why is it here in our crucial changes? In my view, it even though it's not the biggest change in terms of like balancing or like list building per se, it gives you a lot of options, right? It could be fun to put him in whatever unit you like, and you can still do the elephant. The elephant is then not sitting on the bench anymore. You can play him more often. You can play him in way broader lists, or more lists. But I still doubt that you would pay 2 points just to play the elephant. So normally you would sit him in some kind of elite unit, right? 7-point unit. You won't put him in a 5-point unit, which might die pretty soon. So I don't know about if it changes really the meta or changes list building, but at least gives you a lot of options.
Yeah, I don't think it changes too much. I think it was mainly designed, the change was mainly designed to not completely break elephants from being included in non-neutral lists. And I'm staring at my elephants right now because they're in a glass case next to me. And
Yeah.
yeah, they would be extremely sad if they didn't have some way to be in the game after the neutral unit cap dropped down. But I think maybe this Golden Company officer might be important in the future when there's, the fabled Golden Company commander that everybody is hanging their hopes on eventually
Yeah.
coming in the
Yeah.
game. So I could see at some point if we have a Golden Company list or a Golden Company mini faction or something, then the Golden Company officer his stock will probably go up quite a bit. But right now, it's a cool attachment. It's not a meta defining attachment, and the affiliation thing is cool. If you just want to bring an elephant, then that's cool. But yeah, I don't think one of the most critical changes right now in the season 3 update. But it's fun.
Agree. Yeah, it will be fun just to put it in something and bring the elephant. So that's why it's listed here. Yeah, that's that on that. So units, right? We just talked about elephants. So I let the elephant into the room, right? So Golden Company swordsmen, right? Yeah, it's an obvious thing. Like everyone knows it. It's just a so well equipped unit now with adaptive style. It's so good now. So that even Night's Watch players use them in Cotter Pike lists and stuff. So that really means something, right? If you can't attach your vows and everything, and you still do not care because this unit is so good, right? So that really means something. So especially like I play Night's Watch as my main, and even I consider like if I really want to win, right? Then yeah, I might give the Golden Company even like it comes first row even when you compare them with Swan Brothers, which are also incredibly good. So yeah, so that really means something. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Golden Company?
So I've long loved Golden Company. Anybody who's seen my channel has probably seen Golden Company numerous times on my channel, even before this change. So I love Golden Company, but I hate this change to Golden Company swords. And it's not even because of the power level of the Golden Company swords. It's more just for what this change does to other factions' elite infantry. So before, your elite infantry always has like a particular purpose, but Golden Company swords can have any purpose and all purposes. They are whatever you want them to be from one round to the next. So you don't have to choose, do I want to bring this, this heavy hitting unit that it doesn't have very good armor, or you don't have to choose, or do I want to bring Queen's men that are really tanky but don't hit very hard? You can bring Golden Company swords and they can hit hard one round, and then they can take hits really hard another round. So it just makes list building less interesting, and that's why I don't like them, because it makes list building a lot less interesting. And when you're talking about a 7-point unit that a lot of people are going to put into lists, then it reduces the number of points you can spend on more interesting things. So I find it waters down the unit diversity, the list diversity, and it narrows people's choices a little bit. So that's why I don't particularly like this change. I don't think it's going to totally set the world on fire. We've seen in recent tournaments there were a lot of Golden Company swords, but they weren't necessarily winning tournaments. But I think it just makes the list building in the game very more stale. So that's why I'm not a big fan of that change.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I saw them still like Iceman, best player in Germany. He just recently joined one of our tournaments, and he performs so well in defensive. Uses it as a defensive unit with Harm and Uller, and even though Iron Resolves doesn't stack, right? It's twice in there, but still this unit just goes up right through the middle, and if there's a Warwood around and stuff, you just cannot kill this unit.
Yeah,
it just stands
like a dragon,
there and does exactly, and it does and it does nothing, right? It's just there, and
Mhm.
it heals up again. It has morale 4 then, or whatever, or 3 even. What is it
Three,
then?
yeah, it goes to, I think
3.
it goes
So
to three.
it's just there, and he comes around with skirmishers and Starfall Knights and stuff, and just killing things, right? So,
Mhm.
and also I've seen lists with Clegane in it, which does so much damage, right? One-shotting units. So that basically, yeah, it totally goes to your point. This unit is so versatile and is so much better than any other 7-point unit out there. So it makes really, yeah, it makes list building dull for most factions. And as I said in the beginning, that was like the intro was, even Night's Watch, who cannot attach their vows, which is really needed in Night's Watch lists or tactics, right? Or the whole faction is based around it. Even them are saying, you know, I
Yeah,
will just
they already
put the
come. Yeah, they
Sworn
already come with
Brothers.
vows.
Yeah,
They already
exactly.
come.
So
They already
yeah,
come with
yeah,
extra
they
armor. They already come with extra
exactly.
morale.
They're
They come
done.
with extra dice.
Exactly, they're done,
Yeah.
right? So you do not need the cards. So yeah, totally with you. Yeah, a really crucial change, changes everything, changes the meta completely, but it's not in, yeah, as you said, in for me too, it's not a good change for me. And
Yeah, hopefully it
they
gets
should
adjusted.
change that. Yeah, they should
Yeah,
change that at
to
some point again. Yeah.
yeah, hopefully it'll be like only for the turn, not for the round. So you use it
Yeah,
one time per round when you know you really need to hit hard, or when you know you really need to take a hit, and
exactly.
then it's done.
That would be,
I,
yeah, that would be good, I think. Yeah, that change would
mhm.
really change it back to yeah, a normal level of power, like a normal level of good, and not oppressive good.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so the way more exciting thing we talked about earlier are the Source Riders. Source Riders, just for a second away from rules and power level or balancing, everyone loves the sculpts, right? Or at
Yep.
least everyone I know loves the sculpts, loves the miniatures, but it was sitting on everyone's shelf, right? So because they were, I mean, I saw some lists, but normally Source Riders weren't played that much because of this. It needed to be flank, it needed to be rare to really make a difference, and now it's gone, right? So Motley Armaments, or what is it? Is it
So they
no?
get there's
What's the ability?
yeah.
What's the name?
So it's called Motley Armaments, and
Motley Armaments, yeah.
yeah, it used to be that when attacking, when attacking an enemy unit, if attacking in the flank, gain 1. If attacking in the rear,
Yeah,
gain both.
rare both.
So if you were attacking something in the front, you are just using your standard attack
Normal,
die
yeah.
profile with no keywords or anything. But now you're always getting one of these, which is the +1 attack die and crit blow, or defender loses all abilities. So you get a pretty versatile choice, no matter whether you're jumping right in an enemy's face or not. So
yeah. Yeah, they still want to do their flank, right? It's still it should be your strategy, but if you can't really set it up like that, or if you can't manage to do it, it's still a good charge. And we just talked about Golden Company, right? To take away that ability, at least for that turn,
for that
right?
turn,
Can
yes.
really change. Yeah, can really change things. So
Yeah.
now a way better unit. So I hope and I'm sure that it will see more play in the future. Source Riders are now a good valuable option, especially or even for maybe Greyjoys, Targaryens, or in other Cav commander lists. I feel.
Yeah,
So,
and they're the cheapest cav in the game. I mean, Targaryens have a 6-point cav unit, screamers, and Lannisters didn't the what are they called, the Clegane
not
brigands,
bruisers.
the brigands went down to 6, I
Brigands,
think,
yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, they're
but
down at
Zorse
6,
Riders are Zorse Riders they're cool. I've always liked them. I've used them 2 or 3 times with terrible results. I think one of my games that I used them in was a battle report I made on the channel, and they just got literally beaten down by the mountain that rides, and they didn't do any damage at all. So the solo model just completely destroyed them because I was being attacked in the face, and I didn't have any of these. I didn't have the option to use these abilities because I was attacking someone face to face. So now even if you get charged, you get preemptively charged with the Zorse Riders, you can use one of these abilities. So I like it. It makes them a little more foolproof, or noob proof for folks like me who don't know how to run Zorse Riders effectively. So I'm happy to see the change, and it's a change we'll see also on when we talk about Targaryens with the Brazen Beasts, where I'm pretty excited about that one too.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah. Leads us to the last unit, Lysine Sellswords. You as a Greyjoy player wanna lead us through?
Yeah, so Lysine Sellswords, when they came on the scene, Greyjoy players were very excited about them because they were a very punchy 5-point unit with pillage, and I used them in a game, I think, on my channel, and had a lot of fun with them. The world has changed a little bit for Greyjoys now. Their Reavers are now really good at 5 points. So and the Lysine Sellswords, with this change in season 3, they went from having a highest attack die value potential of 9 attack die, and with 2 pillage tokens, they were going to be swinging with 9 dice at all, no matter how many ranks they had. Now they're capped at 8, which is still good, but they just can't compete anymore with the Greyjoys in faction 5-point unit. And there are certain Greyjoy effects and abilities that only affect Greyjoy units. So you can't make much of a case for these guys anymore in Greyjoys. And then even as a 5-point neutral unit for other factions, I think most people would just rather take Cutthroats, because Cutthroats can hand out a vulnerable token and vicious and rerolls or whatever else they have. So I think they're kind of a little bit of a victim of the Greyjoy rework. They're still a cool unit. Their sculpts are amazing, but I think they are just a little more sad now after the update. Now that since other things have gotten better, I think they're kind of a victim of that. So I think that's about all there is to say about them. They were a Greyjoy. They were kind of a de facto Greyjoy unit to bulk up the Greyjoy's roster, but now they're not needed for that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree. I can totally double down on, you always see yourself shifting away from them. Every time I build neutral lists or thinking about including neutrals, you always have those two, Sellswords and Cutthroats, and I see myself always shifting back to Cutthroats because they're just more effective and more reliable in your lists. So totally see that. And they both have the same they both want to do the same thing, right? They're not
they both have the
units
same
that
role.
are do different things. Same role, same thing. So I always shift myself to Cutthroats again. So yeah. All right. So that brings us to NCUs. For me, the second biggest change next to the tactics cards is Varys. Varys was played before on 5 points in a lot of lists already, and now with 4 points, you even see him way more often. I am under the impression even more often than Peter right now. So
for sure.
So I would say they're both on par, on the same level now in terms of how good they are. And one thing I really want to share here is a lot of people think about the bags and envelope when thinking about Varys. I also learned to appreciate him so much for the horses, right? Because a lot of times something changes through the horses, and this shift 3, in certain situations, if your opponent isn't really aware of what's that there's still a token, I can still shift changed a lot of games in my past, because now I can see him again, or now I'm, 3 inches away, or 3 inches like in your face again. So that really changes stuff. And I really learned to appreciate the horses. Yeah.
Or somebody's going to maneuver to get into charge position for you, and then you shift out of their line of sight, or you shift just outside of a safe charge distance for them, and just totally kind of blow their plan. Then also the hits. I mean, the 3 hits, if you're doing 3 hits, 3 auto hits onto a 5-up or 6-up save unit, that's going to hurt.
That's going to hurt. Yeah. Especially when you have like this one unit left with like 1, 2, 3 wounds. We all see that happen, right? You were not able to kill it in this one particular attack, and just having this hit back, it really makes your opponent think, can I really take the swords? Can I do it now? Right? Yeah. So just great NCU. Just and
it's not even that enemy. So like if you have an enemy, like let's say you have an enemy on an objective and he has 2 wounds or 3 wounds left, or there's an enemy on an objective and he wants to use the swords to attack you somewhere else, he has to wonder, are you going to use a token and then kill off that unit that's all the way on the other side of the board with Varys? So Varys is he was always an incredibly powerful NCU, but he was always overshadowed due to points cost by Peter. But now I see Varys as much or even more than Peter, just because of how versatile he is. I think Varys going to 4 is, for me, probably the biggest change for neutrals. I think game wide. Not necessarily neutrals, for the neutrals, but for the entire game, I think that's the biggest change for neutrals. It's a really cool change because it's adding a lot more list building variety, which is kind of the opposite of the Golden Company change that I was complaining about. So it's good. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. So Jaqen, back then always seen in with Mel, together with Mel, pretty expensive, but with the old Mel could be oppressive too. Dull, boring, but oppressive, right? So could work quite good. Now with the new Mel and even him on 4, I'm not seeing this really happen, but especially because of Crescent, right? Crescent is such a good NCU for the Stannis side. So that won't happen, I think, anymore. Like this Mel bomb and Jaqen is not really happening anymore. And I think there are powerful influences in the game, but when you build Jaqen in, you cannot rely on him as being a really, really good NCU. I think it's fun. If you were saying, let's have a fun match, and I'm just convinced my opponent always plays this or that, and I just copy this, like in Starks, like a Catelyn, right? A Catelyn influence is great. Or that kind of influence. So that could be good. And this precision, if not, is also okay, I would say. But now with like everyone got precision, each and every faction got precision everywhere. It's not really a great thing if there's no good influence out there. So
I totally agree. You don't take him, if you're gonna take him, you take him basically because of precision, because you can't count on there being a good influence that you want to copy unless you're the one bringing it. So if it's an influence you're bringing that you want to copy, then you can bring Jaqen for that reason. Otherwise, you bring him for precision. But then in this game right now, everything has precision, like you said, and I'm not a fan of precision. I like precision when my Unsullied swords have it, but like now everything has precision, and I'm not going to bring my Unsullied swords because Golden Company exists, and they can have precision too, right? So, I think Jaqen. It's cool to have more options with Jaqen because he's a 4-point NCU now, which is cool. But yeah, you bring him as a little bit of like a slot machine. You don't know what you're going to get if you bring Jaqen. It might work for you, might not work for you. But he's cool. I like him. I mean, he's a cool NCU, but he's not.
He's a cool NCU.
He's not like a high level pick. I would say he's a fun NCU to bring. But you never know whether he's going to be super valuable or just giving precision.
Yeah, and especially he has to compete with Peter, Varys, and Roose, right? So and all three are really good. I mean, Roose is a little bit dependent on the list, but still, right? So he still needs to compete with all three of them, and he always I guess he always comes last, right?
Yeah, and those three all have definite value, like 100% all have value. Those three, and Jaqen's value is kind of up in the air a little bit, so you can't rely on him as much as the other three.
That's true. Yeah, still a good change, but won't change how you pick your neutral NCUs, right? Okay, so that brings us to the last point, to tactics cards. So how about let me pick one. How about you talk about adaptive methods first?
Okay, so adaptive methods was changed to now allow you to give out a token. So before, you could just replace one condition token on any one unit with another condition token. And then if you control the tactic zone, the letter, you could move one condition token from one unit to another unit. So now, on top of that, you can just straight up hand out a token. So you can, under an ideal circumstance, you could, put a vulnerable token on an enemy unit, just for example, and then you could convert a let's say if you control the letter, you could let's say take a vulnerable token or a weakened token off of one of your units and then put that weakened token on the other unit, and then you could also replace another condition token somewhere else with something more beneficial to you. But at the very least, if you control the tactic zone, what you're doing is you're effectively placing two condition tokens on an enemy unit and removing one condition token from a friendly unit. So if you look at that, that's a pretty powerful card. Throwing out two tokens and removing one token is pretty awesome.
Yeah. I saw adaptive style, or my first encounter with adaptive style was when this it was a pretty well-known list, this Ramsay list with double Flateman, so him and Cutthroats, double Flateman, Blackguard, and with the Ramsay cards, with the neutral Ramsay cards, you had this Cruel Methods, so healing back 4, right, when spending panic tokens. So adaptive style was a great card to have in the deck to deal out certain panic tokens, or to, as you said, remove one and just remove a vulnerable and put a panic back to your opponent, then heal from adaptive methods. So that worked quite well in the past already, and now, like as you said, under perfect circumstances, you deal out 2 panic tokens, right, and remove your vulnerable or whatever you have, or your weakened or whatever. So this card is straight up way better now and makes the neutral deck even better. And I also like in general, I always liked the neutral tactics deck. I always considered the neutral tactics deck quite good, especially when you compare it to maybe Targaryen, Starks, some other. So if you compare the tactics deck, it was always I would say in the middle, somewhere.
Yeah, it was kind of like B tier. Yeah, like B tier. So pretty good.
Yeah. So now the whole tactics deck got way better, and especially like thinking back on Vargo, a lot of commanders are relying on certain condition tokens. As I said, Ramsay on panic, also Roose on panic, Vargo on weakened. So yeah, this card makes all the commanders stronger too. So really good change for neutrals, and will definitely change the neutral ranking. I don't know where they are right now on stats, but I recollect that they're
not at the bottom anymore.
What is it, 4 or 5? Yeah, they're not at the bottom anymore.
Yeah, they're up towards the middle, I think, or at least the last time I checked, they're right around the middle. So they're moving up.
Yeah. So that might be out of Golden Company again, also, but the tactics deck will definitely play a role in that.
Yep.
So second one would be Worth the Risk. Worth the Risk basically stayed the same, but got on a success, it restores 2 wounds. So basically, you can re-roll your morale test. if it's your commander, or if you're in short range of a commander, you pass the test instead, and when passing the test, you heal 2. So basically, so this heal 2, little bit by like Breathing Conviction, the Breathing card, just gives the neutrals deck, or whatever commander you play, an additional healing card. And for me, that was highly needed, because there are strong healing cards, especially with Ramsay with his Cruel Methods card, but still neutrals were lacking kind of how they can heal back, right? A little bit. I mean, they had Varys for sure, but you can play around that, like, right? Your opponent can play around it. So so this change of having one additional healing card is also, was highly needed, and again, makes the tactics deck way more fun to play.
Yeah, and if you're playing against lists that are very panic focused, or you have Lannisters trying to nuke a unit down, and after they only have a few wounds left, you use this, and not only do they pass the test, but then they heal back up a little bit. So great change.
Yeah. Brings us to the last card, the quest card, Spoils of War. So actually one really small change on this card, but a really crucial one, because it adds highest attack die value. Before that, when you had 2 tokens, or if you had 1 token on the card, after you killed a unit in short range, you got, before rolling attack dice, the defender becomes vulnerable, right? And now you have it rolls its highest attack die value. So especially this card, when I think about the old list I just talked about, with double Flatemen can have their 6 back even on 1 rank, or especially sellswords, cutthroats, and again the elephant, Golden Company. They all benefit so much from such a card, because already on 2nd rank, all of those units lack so much attack potential. So this card brings it back to an aggressive, dangerous unit for your opponent.
Yeah, and it's not hard for you to get to the point of having 1 token on this card, and once a unit is always rolling highest attack die value and throwing out a vulnerable, it becomes a real monster. Especially, like you said, if you have Golden Company that are in, even if they're not in their offensive mode, if they're throwing out 7 attack die with dice with Sundering and vulnerable,
Sundering,
that's huge. Any of the other kind of punchy neutral units, it's going to be great on. And like you said, Flademen hitting you with 6 dice with vulnerable, vicious, intimidating presence. It's
maybe 7 hurt. Even, right? Or maybe 7.
Yeah. I mean, and Flademen want to push a wound through so they can make you take that panic test. So giving them access to a vulnerable token all the time is huge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Spoils of War, last one on the list, but still all 3 make the whole deck significantly better. So that is it for the current changes we know of, but I think we can have a few more minutes on a little bit suspecting on the HB3, the Neutral Hero Box 3. We already know the back of the box, right? Back of the box basically says we'll put it in here in the video. So you see 7 miniatures. You have 15 cards on it, so 8 attachment cards, 1 NCU card, and obviously you will have 1 new commander in there, which we suspect is the Widower as a Mummer commander.
Stormcrow. Yeah, he
Stormcrow, not Mummer. Yes,
Stormcrow,
yeah, exactly. So Stormcrow commander, and we suspect that Shay is the NCU. We feel, I think that's the only place for her. She won't be on the battlefield, right? So
Hope
she should
not.
be the
She'll
NCU.
be back in the tent, taking care of the troops
Yeah,
after the battle.
exactly. So let's start with her. My hopes for her is my first impression was maybe there is something involved with taking away tactics cards, because this is only in Targaryens. So might be that she is able to replace a zone with just taking away tactics cards, or maybe just shut down an NCU in terms of he cannot activate, or he needs to take another zone or something like that, right? That these are my hopes for her. That will definitely also change list building across factions if something like that comes around. Both of them would be pretty cool to have, at least fun, right? I don't know if she can compete. I don't know her costs and everything, but if it's something like that, something manipulating your tactics deck or the tactics board, can really change list building faction.
Yeah,
faction
I'd like to see. Yeah, I'd like to see some kind of cool mechanic like that, or her interacting with the tactics board somehow, or her being able to move attachment cards around, or something like that, to kind of lean in on her being like a courtesan, or a prostitute, or whatever, kind of working behind the scenes and seducing, and doing some kind of backdoor, or excuse me, some backroom deals. But yeah, like, her doing some kind of tricky behind the scenes stuff would be pretty cool. I think it would be kind of consistent with like what you would expect from an NCU like her.
And from such a character, right? Yeah. So definitely pulling the strings somewhere behind the curtains.
Yeah.
So let's jump to Arya and Sandor. My hopes are they somehow are interconnected in terms of you take one and you can put in the other one for free. Or my idea was even you have Sandor maybe in a friendly unit, and you can put Arya in an enemy unit, or the other way around, and they somehow influence each other, or just the enemy and your own unit. So that could be kind of interesting, like to have them as an enemy attachment and a friendly attachment, and they somehow have a connection, somehow interact with each other. That could be fun, right?
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
That's my hopes for that, because that's not in the game right now. It might be out of reach, but that will be something I would really appreciate, or which is really fun to play.
Yeah, or like something like every time Sandor's unit attacks Arya's unit becomes vulnerable. And every time Arya's unit attacks Sandor's unit, if Arya's in the enemy unit, and every time her unit attacks Sandor's unit, her own unit becomes weakened, or something like that would be really cool.
Something like that.
Some kind of cool dynamic between the two of them, so they could be like a little duo somehow. Would be really cool. Hopefully they're not just completely separate attachments. I hope they, like you said, have some kind of interplay, or they have like the Asha Carl rule, where if you take Arya, then Sandor can come in with ignoring attachment limits, or vice versa. That would be exactly cool.
Well, the front of the box lets a little bit suspect that there is something going on between the two. I mean, obviously there is, like in the books and the show, we all don't know that, but the front of the box also makes us feel there is something going on between the two in terms of how they play out, or how
they are literally how they interact on the box. Yeah, they are. He's like carrying her off in the box. So
carrying her off, or drawing her away, right? There's blood on her needle, so he's basically dragging her away from she just killed someone, maybe. Whatever it is. So there will be a connection. I'm pretty sure of it. So then we have Rorge or Rorge,
not sure,
and Biter. Right,
Biter.
And I just learned those are the two that are in the cage with Jaqen when Arya
when they're going to the
saves
wall,
them, basically. When they're going to the wall. And let's see. I really don't know what my hopes are for those. My first impression was that maybe it's something like Grand Piper thing, right? One is like pretty I mean, they're both pretty rude in at least in the
Mhm.
show. They are pretty rude and like not behaving well and stuff.
Mhm.
But still, I could think, since they are always like together, or a big proportion of the books and in the show they are together, it might be something like Piper Gren connection, in terms of what they do. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to see Biter have some kind of intimidating presence or vicious or something fear related, so you can use him in some neutral like Bolton list, which it's sad to be talking about neutral Bolton lists when we have this whole new faction, but it would be cool if, because there's no real neutral attachments that are panic focused, so it'd be cool if you had some kind of panic shenanigans going on. But I think later on in the books they're associated with the bloody mummers. So maybe they could have, maybe one of them could have mummer affiliation, or they can have I don't know, something that synergizes with Vargo or with what the mummers do. It's kind of tricksy stuff. Maybe Rorsch can be the tricksy one because he's carrying a rope or something. Biter looks like the more crazy one that maybe has the fear and panic stuff. But we'll see. I know there's 8 attachment cards in the box, so that's what that's going to be. There's 8 attachment cards, but only 6 actual combat units here. So that we can assume that means there's there's at least one for all 6, and then there's 2 extra ones. So we can assume maybe that the Widower has a normal attachment, so he has a commander attachment and a unit attachment. Yeah, and then that means there's one other one, right? So does that mean maybe there's 2 Arias, or there's 2 Sandors, or
we have a lot of Arias lately. We got a lot of Arias lately. Yeah. So the last one, you already talked about him. The Widower, we think is the commander, right? Is the Stormcrow commander, and Jockin is basically his. Yeah, is it like the second in command? Maybe like
I think he's like his lieutenant or something. Yeah,
something like that, right? So really don't know what my hopes are for them. They look pretty cool on the front of the box, especially with this huge, like, what is it, halberd?
Yeah, it's like a glaive. Yeah, it's some sort of like Final Fantasy looking weapon or something. It looks pretty cool. It looks cool. I'm checking to see something about Dario. If Dario attachment, let's see, does Dario attachment? Okay, I was gonna see if the Dario neutral attachment gave Stormcrow affiliation, but his normal one doesn't. But yeah, these guys are gonna be Stormcrow units, so we're gonna have affiliation, 2. So we can assume the Widower will have Stormcrow affiliation. So that'll be 2 Stormcrow commanders we'll then have with Dario.
With Dario and
this guy.
Yeah.
And then
so let's see.
Yeah,
I'm pretty excited. Definitely. I don't know about the release date for sure, but I think what I've seen is there's something dropping in Poland end of November, early December. That's what I've seen. I don't know, because they get all that stuff first. So at least it's pretty close to Germany, so we get that stuff too if we paying a little more. But let's see. I've seen something about December, but I don't know for sure. I know those new Martell units, the cleaver guys, like with these
the
swords.
Dark Star retinue, right?
Yeah, exactly. Those guys, those guys are announced 29th of December, I think. And Hero Box and the neutral Hero Box I've seen on some Polish sites somewhere early mid December, end of November or something. So let's see. We'll definitely make wherever, on the Discord or here, a video on that, because that's neutral boxes always change something. So we'll definitely cover that in one of our future videos, either on your channel, my channel, or whatever, right?
Yeah, neutral boxes are always exciting. Neutral hero boxes are some of the most exciting boxes because they can apply to literally any faction.
Yeah. So that wraps it up for our 3rd video. for the season 3 update, and I think next time we will do Free Folk, correct, on your channel, Randall?
Yes, yeah, I think Free
Yes.
Folk on mine, and then we will go to Night's Watch on yours.
On mine, exactly.
On Hits and Crits.
On Hits and Crits, exactly. And yeah, that wraps it up. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for taking the time. Please drop any comments, what you feel about the neutrals, if we missed anything, or if you say Jaqen is, the best whatever NCU now, you guys just don't see it, you're not good in this game, just say it out loud, drop it in the comments below. And we see each other on Imperial Minis next time. So until then, roll those crits.
Come for the hits and stay for the crits.